After graduating, I was meant to take a 3-month break. 3 months became 6 months. I was just spending my time reading comics, meeting up with friends.
Yeah.
And then my mom gave me a kick up the bum and said, go get a job.
That's
Thank
good.
you, Mom.
Hi, I'm Alvia. Welcome to another edition of The Adventure Pod, brought to you by the School of Media and Communication of Taylor's University. On today's episode, we're exploring branding beyond boundaries. And to discuss this, we have an ideal person that can help us to understand about this subject. It's Mr. Rudy Khaw, a former musician, but also the CEO of AirAsia Brand Co., or as they call it, the ABC. But he's still playing music though, but we'll get back to that later. So let's start his journey being the CEO. How did he start?
Started off as a fresh grad after uni. Essentially, I came back from Australia. For those of you wondering, since there's students watching this as well, I studied in South Australia. So my first job was obviously here in AirAsia. I found a job in branding.
Yeah.
Not really what I thought I would be doing, because again, to be very honest, when I started looking for a job, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I found this opportunity in AirAsia doing branding, and I just thought to myself, oh, my sister works for Cadbury and she does brand management. If I have no idea what I'm doing, I'll just ask her.
Wait, you were majoring in what?
I majored in media and communications, so Bachelor of
okay.
Arts.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So got my job, joined AirAsia in 2007 as a fresh grad. I was 21, turning 22. And just been here ever since. So it's been 17, in a couple of weeks, it'll be 17 years. Essentially, I worked my way up. So I was a brand exec and then became a senior and then became a manager, then got into a regional role, became the regional head of brand, then a group head of brand, and then eventually the chief brand officer of AirAsia. And then now I'm actually the CEO of AirAsia Brand Co. So we essentially separated the brand from the airline because we see a lot of opportunities with the AirAsia brand for us to be able to build it into something more than just being an airline and turn it really into a lifestyle brand. Yeah.
I see. Congratulations, though.
Thank you.
So, what inspired you to join AirAsia, and how has your journey been within the company?
Truth be told, no inspiration behind joining AirAsia. It was just I had to go look for a job. Inspiration was my mom kicking me up the bum to look
Yeah.
for a job.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Thank
good.
you, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
yeah.
Thanks, Auntie.
I guess, my career in AirAsia, I would like to think it's very interesting in a simple way of saying it, but also exciting. I think I didn't expect to do everything that I'm doing or everything that I've done when I took the job, right? I got the brand job and I thought, okay, I'll just ask my sister, maybe a little bit of advertising, looking at things, making sure things look pretty and so on. But a lot of people don't realize that brand is so much more than just that. Literally, brand is almost the entire company if you think about it, especially in for a brand like AirAsia, where we started in the aviation industry, and now we're so much more than that, right? Branding really touches even the operations of the company to a certain extent, because you have pilots, you have cabin crew, you have guys on ground carrying bags, you have frontliners checking people in, and all of that are representations of the brand as well. They are the first human interactions that consumers have after buying a flight online, right? So for me, I think the entire journey here was really just about understanding the fact that there's a lot to learn no matter what. And sure, I've climbed up the ranks, but even at where I am now in my position, I'm still learning every day. So what I really like about this job is that, and I tell a lot of people this, right, who come to me and interview for a job, for example, always tell them that if you join a brand team, you have an opportunity to really learn more about the entire business and not just do branding. Whereas if you join something else, sometimes you might be very focused just within your scope. So yeah, I think the journey and my career so far in the brand team has allowed me to really learn a lot. Not just about the aviation industry, but also about advertising, also about just brands in general.
So it's basically like the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like,
believe it or not, like I haven't learned and do things related to finance and legal work and all
but
that.
eventually you learn that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to know as well that if they're going to get a job in branding, it doesn't mean that they'll just be stuck in branding, because they'll learn on the job, and then that opens up doors for you to go do other things in the future as well.
I see. So could you share some key experience or milestones from your career that have shaped your role within AirAsia?
Yeah, I was just telling somebody from my team the other day when they said, "Oh, this is one of the questions that might be asked." I told them I've been here 17 years. I don't remember anything anymore. But a couple of things that I guess might be right up there would be the experiences I've had through larger, or maybe I would say global brand exposure work. So we've done partnerships with brands. Anyway, yeah, we also did stuff in F1, which was very exciting for me because, again, I wasn't really somebody that was into F1.
You're a fan now?
I would say a fan, and more because, again, the exposure to F1 showed me how in sports, branding was actually a very big factor as well.
Yeah.
It was really exciting for me because I would go to the pits and all that and see how they work on the cars, see the drivers and the teams and the uniforms, right? And I see everybody really pays a lot of attention to detail when they are creating their uniforms, when they're putting the brands and the stickers on the cars. And you can see how all of that really creates this excitement and perception of like a really global event, right? Some other things would, of course, be Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I met her, in case anybody was wondering. She's very tall. Yeah, we sponsored her tour in 2014, I think, when she was promoting the Red album. So it's called the Red Tour. And why that was really cool is because she was touring Southeast Asia. And obviously for AirAsia, Southeast Asia, ASEAN is our home. And with that being the Red album that she was promoting and us being a Red airline, like everything just clicked.
Yeah.
So we flew her tour around the region. She was on a flight with us as well. And then just seeing her get off the plane and take a picture of a crew in front of an AirAsia plane with her name on it, I think that was a very big deal. And, she just posted that picture on her Twitter, now X, and that blew up. So it's amazing what one image can do when you partner with the right sort of celebrity or the right kind of partner, right? Other notable things, I think we also did a partnership with 88 Rising, alongside Red. So if any of you are familiar, there's the AIDS Foundation, Red. They do a lot of stuff like, your Red iPhone and all that kind of stuff. So we did something with them as well. With 88 Rising was really fun because we essentially got to work with their artists, such as Nikki, yeah. Nikki flew with us to one destination in Vietnam. I think it was Da Nang maybe. And then she shot her video clip for Plans there. We did something with Joji. Joji wasn't actually in the video clip, but one of his songs he did a visualizer of us. And then the other one was with Hai Brothers and Pum Viparit, who's from Thailand. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff. What I really like is the fact that, I had the opportunity to cross into pop culture through my job.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as we were talking earlier before we started this chat,
Yeah.
I love pop culture. And pop culture really influences a lot of what I do and what I bring to work. And how I look at things as well, and how I do advertising and how I think about advertising. So I think the fact that my job brought me into that and allowed me to experience that, I think, those are some of my most memorable things.
That's fascinating. Right now, we're going to take a short break, but up next, we'll find out more about Rudy's management style and his branding philosophy. So we asked Rudy how his background and expertise influence his approach in managing and also overseeing this complex ecosystem.
So I think the experience really comes from just understanding where the brand and the business is going. So back to what I said earlier on, branding isn't really just about, what looks nice, unicorns, rainbows, and fairies. It's really about understanding the business as well and the value of what your brand stands for. So really understanding who your brand is, what your brand is, and what the story is. And then when you see where the business is heading and how it's diversifying, you know what to do with the brand and you know why the brand is heading in that direction. So I think for me, it was really more about the fact that I really deeply understand who the brand is and what the brand is. And that's why the moment Tony or the rest of the management in the AirAsia group, or even Capital A, our parent company now, right? The moment they say, okay, we're going to look into this business, or we're going to pivot into this, or even during COVID, there was time for a lot of us, especially for a brand like AirAsia, who was an airline, definitely couldn't fly, couldn't do anything. And then the management decided, okay, let's go pivot and let's, try and figure out something with an app, start, doing ride hailing, let's start doing food delivery and so on, right? A lot of people would be questioning like, why would AirAsia even do that?
Yeah.
But for me, for somebody who knows the brand, I'm like, why not? Because AirAsia has always been a brand that's been about the people. So for us, it's always about inclusivity, accessibility, and value, right? And at a time when everyone was stuck at home and couldn't travel, why couldn't we kind of flip it on the head and say like, okay, you can't go out, we'll come to you. So by introducing food delivery, you can think of it from a messaging point of view to say that AirAsia will bring the flavors of the world to you at home. So if you're going to order food from Thailand, from a Thai restaurant, then we'll bring it to you, rather than you fly out to Bangkok or Phuket to go and eat Thai food, right? So I think that's always a way to spin a story. And as long as you truly understand your brand and you know what the business is trying to do, then it's easy to kind of navigate the story you want to tell. Yeah.
But how do you draw upon your past experience and expertise in navigating the challenges and opportunities faced by AirAsia, especially during times of crisis such as the COVID-19 pandemic?
I guess it's a little bit like what I said just now, right? Just a lot of my own experience as well and expertise again comes back to the fact that my entire job is this. It's my first job. It's still my current job, right?
Yeah.
So I always tell people it's everything I know. So from an expertise point of view, you want to say that, are you an expert of AirAsia? Like, yeah, maybe. I should be. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
And I guess just coming back to that, right? Really understanding the brand is what allowed me to try and help with this in terms of where the business is going, and especially when it came to COVID and all that, really understanding how it could help from a brand point of view. Because a lot of people will be wondering like, okay, if it's COVID, people are not going out. Why are you advertising? What are you doing? And to me, I always tell people like, well, branding isn't just about advertising. Branding is really about creating a story and creating a perception and trying to get people to understand who you are, right? Back to what I said earlier on. So a lot of that can come through different things as well. You've got PR stories. You've got products that you're going to do, very marketing driven, but there could be a brand spin behind that. And then we also did things like, I think there was a campaign during COVID. We called it Together We Stand, if I remember correctly. And really it was all about just getting people to be there for each other, right? So even when we flew aid over to China, I think, to help some people or to fly people back to Malaysia or something along those lines, we turned that into a story that we wanted to tell as well. And again, that was another way for us to make sure we got the brand out there, even in times when you couldn't do your traditional brand work. Oh, sorry, actually, it wasn't Together We Stand. It's In This Together.
In this
Yeah.
together. So what do you think about the future of corporate brands?
I guess for me, again, coming back to what I said earlier on about pop culture and all that.
Yeah.
So fun fact, when I applied for my job in my CV, I actually had a line at the bottom of my resume, and it says, if you take the fun out of work, then life is not fun. Something to that aspect. And if I remember correctly, the reason I wrote that was because I didn't want to do a job. I wanted to do something that I liked and was interested in.
Like music, for example, right?
Yeah, like music, for example. So for me, I think it was just the idea of that, if I'm going to work in a company and you're going to spend a lot of your time at work, right? You're either sleeping at home or you're waking up and then going to work. And then after that, you have like a little bit of time to yourself doing other things, right? And this again comes back to the idea of work-life balance as well, which I can talk about later on because that's a whole other tangent. But I think for corporate brands, it's really about understanding where the world is shifting, or where the world is shifting to, and understanding culture. So I really started talking about this a lot more maybe in the past year, whether it's to colleagues, peers, friends, or industry people. And I was always said that, a brand is around, but it'll only be around for so long if you're not impactful in terms of how you integrate yourself into culture. So I'll give you an example. Coca-Cola, right? Everyone knows Coke, regardless of your age. Whether you're a boomer, whether you're millennial, whether you're Gen X, Gen Z, whatever, you would know Coca-Cola. But why is that? Even if you never drank Coca-Cola, you would know it. it's because they found a way to integrate themselves into culture. You'll see it on TV, you'll see it in a movie, you'll see it in TV shows. You see them at music festivals. Even if people are not drinking it, they know what Coke is. And I think from a corporate standpoint, okay, let's not say corporate. Let's say from a brand standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
For a brand to be able to exist for the long term, they need to know how to impact culture. And when you impact culture and integrate yourself into popular culture, then that allows you to be a brand for the ages. So my goal right now, slightly personal goal, but at the same time, something that I think is important for AirAsia as a business and a brand, is to make AirAsia a brand for the ages. So right now, we think about, okay, AirAsia started as an airline, which comes back to what I said about the diversification of the business and the brand understanding that, right? If the brand understands why the business is diversifying, you will also look at it as like, oh, this gives the brand more opportunity to live longer. Because then people don't just look at you as an airline. They're like, oh, actually, AirAsia is an app that also sells hotels. It's a travel super app. It like gives you all these opportunities. It also has other airlines that you can book. You can go and do ride hailing and so on as well. It just expands the brand into more areas. So I think if you couple that together with a brand that really understands culture, then you have a very strong brand that can live on forever. And I think back to your question when you said, what's the future of brands for corporates, right? I think it's really about understanding how they impact culture. Obviously, revenues and all that are important from a company standpoint, from a business perspective, but all of that doesn't really mean much if you don't have a place in culture, in my opinion.
So what you're trying to say is that you're trying to let people remember this specific brand, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really about perception, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
So given the rapid changes in technology and consumer behavior, what aspirations do you hold for AirAsia's role in shaping the future landscape of aviation branding?
Actually, I would say regardless of technological advancements and everything, AirAsia as a brand, and even in the aviation industry when we started, has always been an innovative one. So for example, we were one of the first airlines in this region at least to go ticketless and allow you to book flights through, in the past, what was SMS. And then we were one of the first airlines to actually go with a website and so on as well. And then obviously now there's an app and all that. And of course, there are a lot of other players that are already doing that now too. But I think my point is that for us, we don't look at innovation purely from the standpoint of technological innovation, but even business diversification is innovative in itself, or how we sell the brand, how we promote the brand is also innovative in itself. So I think for me, because of where AirAsia is now as a brand and the fact that, we're no longer just an airline, I like to look at it as a way of where can AirAsia go and what can AirAsia do in the region to really be a standout brand, as opposed to what it's going to do in the aviation industry moving forward. Because I think a lot of people already recognize us there, which is a great thing. But that's also where it becomes hard for us, because our brand stands for so much more, but it's hard to get people familiar with the fact that AirAsia is not just an airline. So that's the other goal for me, which is to take on that challenge and get people to understand, oh, AirAsia, it's a beverage brand.
Yeah.
For example, that could happen.
A multifunction brand. Yeah. And what are your hopes for AirAsia as a brand?
I think, like I said earlier on, a bit of a personal goal, but actually one that I think is very important for AirAsia as well, to be a brand for the ages. So I really want to reach a point where somebody from, I don't know, the States or Canada or Bulgaria maybe, or Africa, like one day said, oh yeah, I know the AirAsia brand. Have you ever flown it? No. Have you ever used the app? No. But why do you know AirAsia? Because I've seen it in pop culture, or I've seen this t-shirt collaboration, or I've seen it in a movie. Like the moment somebody says something like this, I'm like, oh, okay, I've done my job, I can retire. Because I think the idea again is for a brand person to be able to build something that people just know and love, even if they've never used it. I think that is one of the biggest achievements you can have, right?
Yeah.
Back to my example earlier on about Coke. Apart from Coke, you think of McDonald's. It's the same thing. McDonald's is so big because of the fact that they integrated into pop culture. And you look at what they're doing now as a brand as well, right? In the past, It used to be about me telling my mom, I want to go to McDonald's because I want Happy Meals. And then you get all these little toys, like it's got Hot Wheels and Hello Kitty stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? But now, even at our age, we also want McDonald's, not just because of the Happy Meals. We want it because they're doing Travis Scott collaborations, they're doing New Jeans collaborations, they're doing all these things that appeal to a different age group as well, which ensures that as a brand, they're there for the ages. They will continue being available and appealing to the generation that grew up with them and still be appealing to the generation that are going to grow up with them. So I think those are very important factors, and I hope AirAsia is one of those brands that can do that, especially for the ASEAN region at least, because I don't really know of a brand in Southeast Asia that has done something like this.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, AirAsia is probably one of those brands that can do it.
We're going to have a final break. But next up, Rudy's going to tell the students of advertising and branding of what we should expect and prepare for this industry. And we're back to the Adventure Pod with me, Alvia. We're still talking with Rudy Khaw, CEO of AirAsia Brand Co., discussing branding beyond boundaries. Now, as students of advertising and branding, the next step is to graduate and joining this industry. But what should we prepare and also expect for this industry?
I guess, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. What do you guys actually study?
Okay, from what I understand is like we need to do a lot of writings. We need to be very good in communication. So, but like when it comes to communication, there's also involved in like social media, digital stuff, promoting. So, but we also learn a bit of what do you call that? Like Adobe, Photoshop, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like in 2 years, I'm going internship soon. But then at the same time, I'm still kind of lost actually. So that's why I'm asking you: is there any other possibilities?
Let's okay. So when it comes to the advertising world,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I only know the advertising world through the fact that I'm in the industry. I'm what's considered a client
Yeah.
because I'm on a brand side, right? And I only know the advertising world through the fact that I work with a lot of creative agencies. I work with a lot of in-house creatives and designers who used to be from agencies. I work production houses and so on. The opportunities are actually quite endless, right? When I started working, I started working here as a brand exec. At one point, maybe about 2 or 3 years into the job, I started thinking about, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. In case anybody from AirAsia is watching, yes, I did think about leaving before. But I actually wanted to go and do something totally different. I started thinking, oh, should I go be a copywriter? Because I enjoyed doing copywriting. In AirAsia, like we didn't really have an in-house copywriter, so when we did our ads, like I would always contribute, and I enjoyed that. And I was actually very inspired as well by Mad Men, which I think a lot of people would be. If anybody's studying advertising, go watch Mad Men. Yeah, and then the advice that was given to me is like, do you enjoy copywriting or do you want to make it a career? And I was like, oh, actually, I enjoy it. Then they said, then don't go and be a copywriter. Just continue doing it whenever you can within your job. There's no point for you to switch your role, considering the fact that you are growing within your current role. So I think for me, it's not so much about what the opportunities are, but it's more about what you want to do yourself. Because, and again, my title right now is CEO. Prior to this, it was very specifically Chief Brand Officer. So a lot of people thought that I specifically just did things related to brand. But to me, I always tell people, don't let your role define you. You define your role. So for me, as a brand manager, I wasn't just doing brand stuff. I also did stuff in events. I also helped with copywriting. Occasionally, I would assist with production work as well. But that's because I was interested in it. So I think my advice to a lot of students who are going to go for internships and all that is don't worry about what your first internship is.
Okay.
Because it's really just an experience for you to see what the working world's like. What's more important is for you to think for yourself what you really want to do and what you enjoy. And again, coming back to what I said about what I wrote in my CV in the past, which was if you take the fun out of work, you take the fun out of life, right? It's because you spend so much time at work. So really what you want to do is just make sure, doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you enjoy it, you'll be good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing something you don't enjoy, then you're not going to put your whole heart into it, and
That's
then
true.
you're not going to be good at it.
True.
So it's just all about having fun.
So does that mean that the boss will automatically like give you this role, or
Oh.
do you like say it out like, oh, I want to be in this role?
A bit of both.
Uh-huh.
So is this from an internship perspective or just in the future?
Yeah, just internship.
Okay, when it
I
comes
mean,
to
it could be both. You
yeah,
can say both.
I guess when it comes to internships, normally you would apply and then you say like, oh, I'm from this faculty or whatever,
Mhm.
right? And then the companies will look at the potential interns and they say, okay, since you're from the advertising faculty or whatever it is, we'll put you within the marketing department or
Yeah.
we'll put you within the creative team or something, right? So based on what you're studying, you will naturally be put into a specific sort of department in the company for your internship. But again, back to what I said, don't let that define what you end up doing in the future.
Yeah.
Because use as much of the time as you can when you're doing your internship to learn about other departments as well and see what other people are doing. Obviously, whatever you're told to do, make sure you do it.
Okay.
But at the
For
same
sure.
time, have curiosity. I think being curious is the most important thing. If you're just going to be someone that wants to go into do your internships, I'm just doing this to get my credits, whatever, right? And you don't have curiosity, then you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah. That's true though.
Mm.
Kind of true. And thank you so much for your insights.
No
It's
problem.
been a pleasure having you here, and I have a very good time with you, and I hope you did as well.
I did. Had fun.
So before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add on or any final thoughts you like to leave with us today?
Should I just say stay in school, kids?
Staying cool, guys.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think like what we just ended on earlier on, I
Yeah.
think don't worry if you don't know exactly what you want to do. I can tell you for a fact the number of colleagues I've had that didn't end up doing whatever they studied. I have so many friends who studied law and then they end up being marketers.
Yeah.
And then the
It's quite opposite.
no, actually it's not. Because
Really?
the joke behind that is that when
Okay.
you do advertising, you would write certain stories. Almost as if you're lying, right? And isn't that what legal people do as well, right? They try and find a way to argue their case, so to speak. I don't mean it in a bad way, but I just mean it's all storytelling,
Yeah.
right? And I've got a lot of friends as well who did finance that ended up doing something else as well. So I think don't worry too much about what you're going to do right after uni. Just know about who you are,
Yeah.
and then I think you'll figure it out. Even I didn't know what I wanted to do again, and look at where I am now. Yeah.
But it's great that you're like, how to say, like you've come a long way to become who you are right now.
Come a very long way.
Yeah.
I've come 17 years along.
17 years.
But yeah, I think so. Interestingly, a lot of people ask me
Yeah.
why I've been with the same company for so long since my first job, right? I always tell them like the main reason isn't just because of what I do, but it's also because of the people around me.
You enjoy.
I enjoy the company. I enjoy like the new people I meet, the people I learn from, the people that I can teach, and people I learn from aren't just seniors and all that.
Yeah.
Again, being in the company for 17 years, there are a lot of people who are joining now that are definitely way younger than me, but I'm still learning from them too. So I think what's important as well for all those going into the working world and all that is to just be humble and also just know the fact that, well, I think it's important to know that if you're the shit, you're the shit. Okay, that's important to know. But that's called confidence versus arrogance, right? But you also need to be humble at the same time because, at any one time, there could be somebody that knows way more things than you that's just going to knock you off your perch. So just accept the fact that you're going to be able to learn from a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's all about acceptance, right?
Acceptance and adapt.
Yeah. Adapting is very important.
That's true.
We couldn't agree more, and that is all for this episode of The Adventure Pod. Thank you, Mr. Rudy Khaw, the CEO of AirAsia Brand Co., or ABC, for spending time with us. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next episode of The Adventure Pod. This is Alvia. See you next time.